Hi everyone, my name is Bryanna and I am the Director of Social Media here at BioPro Armour, and I'm back again with Dr. Warren, the creator of BioPro Armour. And we wanted to do another discussion for y'all today. Last time we just kind of did a little introduction to all of to both of us, as well as to BioPro Armour. And this time we wanted to make it a little bit more focused and talk about Dr. Warren's experience um, pioneering the water treadmill and how beneficial it has been for different horses that have injuries and need rehabilitation, as well as a potential form of exercise for horses that are in work. So, hi, Dr. Warren. How are you doing today?
Hi, Brian. I'm doing great. It's great to see you again.
It's good to see you too. I'm super excited to talk about the water treadmill today. I think it's going to be a super awesome story.
Yeah, well,
So
it's been a lot of fun.
it sure has. So why don't we start with how you got involved with the water treadmill project? Like, did someone approach you
Yep.
to be
Uh-huh.
part of the project?
Back in 1983, a friend of mine approached me with this company that had this new device for helping horses, which was an
Mhm.
automatic underwater treadmill. And it was a fiberglass pool, and but the company was going broke, and they was interested if I was interested in taking over. And I looked at it and I said, "That's the cat's meow. I've got to get involved with this business." So we took over the company. It was called AQUA TRED Corporation, and so the name, as far as I'm concerned, the correct name for the treadmill is AQUA TRED. It's AQUA TRED, and so my sons, I had two sons that were involved with it. My one son was he's a construction kind of guy. He's a problem solver. So we did have some problems with the installation there at first, but we solved all those. And we put treadmills in everywhere. We put them Calumet Farm. There was two or three other farms in Kentucky. We put one in Europe and racetrack down in Texas. I mean, they were all over the place. And in those days, they were only 45,000. They were nearly what they are now. They're about 150,000 a day. But so we had one at my farm in Hemet, which was it's a rehabilitation. It was a rehabilitation and breeding farm, and we put one in, and we had horses coming from the racetrack to be rehabilitated, and also we had young horses that were coming in to get their initial training. So it works wonderfully for both, Brianna, because these young horses, as on rehabilitation on a training basis to get them started, their extensor muscles of the forelimb and the hind limb are the last to come to be mature, and so you get sore stifles and your shoulders and so forth. But the AQUA TRED has the ability, because of the resistance of the water, and we take about 40%, maybe a little less buoyancy off the body, but so it spares the lower leg. But going through the water, that extensor muscle is the one that's under the most stress. And the trick that we learned right on, especially with thoroughbred horses, is you don't want to trot one in the treadmill. If you get them to the point where they're trotting, it means they're too tired and the treadmill is going too fast. Because if you do that, you'll shorten the back up and you get sore backs. So we walk them, we start them slowly, but we walk them up to where they can walk as fast as they can walk. for 30 or 40 minutes a day. And also they're going in a round pen and they're being lunged in a round pen both ways. So they get a lot of different kinds of exercise to get these horses conditioned. But the AQUA TRED has a great facility in keeping the ankles and the feet and so forth, lower legs, protected by no stress on them. A dry treadmill, if you did the same thing with a dry treadmill, you could run into problems with immature ligaments, suspensory ligaments, and ankle problems. So that's the beauty of it to start with. So, do you have any questions on the conditioning prospects of it?
That is really cool. And I think that one of the things that I was thinking about when it came to the water treadmill is I know that for humans, like being in the water is really good for like the muscles, and like the tension of the water is um beneficial for strengthening, but also like the sort of, I guess you could call it, weightlessness of being in the water is beneficial too, because then you're not dealing with extra forces, and it helps you get a workout while being lighter on the body. So I was wondering if it had the same sort of effect for horses as well.
Absolutely. You do get some cardiopulmonary uh, conditioning as well, because these horses, when we get a horse in full training, we're wearing them out on that treadmill. They're going and walking as fast as they can for between 30 and 45 minutes. So that's pretty severe. That's a real workout. And then back to rehabilitation. That's taking young horses or horses that are starting to get, you're trying to rehabilitate them or condition them. Rehabilitation, we start a little different. First of all, you have to have some stall rest in most of these cases, especially post-surgical or horses that have cracked shins. I don't know if you see that in your hunters and jumpers, but in thoroughbred racehorses, we get so-called buck shins or even fractured shins where they have a saucer fracture in the cannon bone. And those have to have some degree of resolution before we start with them. So we usually give them, depending on the condition and what problem we have, we'll give them 30 to 40 days of stall rest, just hand walking them. We have to get them out and walk them in buds. But and then in some cases where they're really severe, they'll get 90 days off. Well, horses that get up to 90 days of stall rest are at their most vulnerable spot when they come back to the racetrack. If we come back to the racetrack from straight layoff, not doing any work at all to the racetrack, a good percentage of those horses will break their leg. It's the humerus, they'll break their humerus just galloping because that bone is so soft from no activity. Because the bones and muscles are strengthened by activity. So what we found is if they're supposed to be out to our farm for 90 days, the last 30 or 40 days, we'll have them on the AQUA TRED. And we'll start with slow walking, and we'll build that up as the horse can tolerate it, to the point where, and I've tried to get the trainers to give me an extra month, because the more time you have, the better off you are, as you know. If I can handle one for 5 months, the last month is that horse will go into the racetrack, and within 2 weeks they're up to galloping or working 5/8 of a mile the way we were training them. And I'll tell you an example of that in a minute. So what we do is, at the farm we had a little 3/8 mile track. We'd AQUA TRED these horses in the morning when they got for the rehabilitation, and also for the end of their conditioning. We do the same thing, but We'd AQUA TRED them in the morning for 35, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever it is, until they got tired. Walking them, starting them slow, but then walking them as fast as they could walk for that length of time. And once you do that for a while, probably 2 weeks, then we started AQUA TREDing them in the morning and galloping them in the afternoon. So in the afternoon, we start out galloping a mile, then 2 miles, then 3 miles. So they were AQUA TREDing 45 minutes in the morning, galloping 3 miles every afternoon, every day. That was the last 30 days of their treatment process before they went back to the track. Well, as you can imagine, when they went back to the track, they were fit. They were fitter than most racehorses are today. And I'll tell you one case we had a case of a cracked shin. It had an open saucer fracture. We gave it probably 35 days, 45 days of, between 35 and 45 days of stall rest. Because I wanted that crack to heal it, but as much as I could, we took x-rays about every 10 days. And when that callus was formed and looked like it was healing well, we started him on the AQUA TRED, just walking him. It was a filly, just walking her. And we walked her for 30 days, and the crack keeps filling in. They kept healing. So we had a healing process going on, which was great. I'll make a long story short, after another 30 days, we started really getting serious by adding extra time, and we started galloping her a mile in the afternoon. And she got to the place where that crack was completely filled in. You could see just a faint scar on the bone where it was. It was all filled in, completely tight. And I told the trainer and the owner, I said, you can come and get this filly, but I need to have the bill paid because he was a very slow pay. Yeah, you know, sometimes that happens. So she'd been with us at that point in time. She'd been with us about 4.5 months. Another 4 months go by, so now she's 8.5 months, and we're still training her the same way. We finally got her paid, and she went back to the track. The first day back, the next day back to the track, the trainer says, come and get this filly. She's crazy. We can't do anything with her. This filly wanted to go. She was ready to go. So my trainer went in and talked to him and said, she's so fit, you've never seen one like this before. When you come back from a farm, you just go ahead and gallop her strong. The next week, you start working her 5/8 of a mile. He said, you got to be kidding me. I said, no. The trainer said, no, just do what I tell you. Well, he did that, and the next 5 starts, that filly won. And the worst she was in those 5 starts was second in a greatest stake. So that just tells you what you can do if you have the patience to do it.
That's so awesome. I bet the owners and all the connections of that filly were super happy, with
Yeah,
her recovery and everything.
yeah, they were amazed. They bought this filly in Europe as a maiden, and one of the partners of the horse was a personal friend of mine, so I could do what I wanted to with him. So, but and we've case after case like that. But you have to be careful. You can't go faster than the horse can go. As far as the training goes, if you add too much, then you're going to have problems. So, but the beauty of the AQUA TRED is you can increase that level of stress, so it's within the horse's ability to withstand it, and at the same time getting the correct amount of conditioning to carry on and go forward and increase it as time goes by. Now, the AQUA TRED, if it's used right, is a great tool, but you still need the time. It helps to increase the healing process, but in order to do it right, there's no shortcuts. You still need the time.
I totally agree with that. I know that people are always wanting the quick solution, but it's not always um even best, and more often than not, there isn't even a quick answer to a lot of, rehab problems or training problems. So I definitely agree that that's important.
Well, if
But
these trainers were
sorry,
smart,
go
they
ahead.
could figure it out, but they get so set in their ways of doing everything the same without thinking outside the box. Well, there may be a better way of doing it, but race horses, dressage horses, I don't know, probably you can't do this, but with race horses, you could put them in an aqua tread 3 days a week and keep them off the racetrack 3 days a week, which would be a whole lot better for their lower legs, and you could save some of those lower leg problems, and you'd have a fitter horse in the long run. So
That is, I agree that trainers can be a little bit stuck in their ways as well, but I feel like it's important for them to expand their horizons and be open to things. I know they have timelines and certain things they want to get done, but sometimes um our goals don't always get met in the timeline we expect them to be met in, there's other considerations to take into play. So I think that that's really important too. Would you say that there's a situation where the aqua tread or another water treadmill would not be a good tool to use?
no, it's good for everything. In fact, some of the farms we put in Kentucky, um, I started one farm. It's called Boamazon then. I don't know what the name of it is now. It's probably sold. But they put one in, and they were selling their yearlings. They had a month and a half, maybe it was 2 months before the yearling sale. So I put it in, and I told them, you put your babies on there, your yearlings on there, and they will develop and look a whole lot nicer going into that sale ring. And then if you just hand walk them or jip them to lunge them to get a little activity. So they did that, and this one filly they had, her legs were crooked as spaghetti. I mean, they came out at the knees, and she wasn't that. They figured she was going to bring 25,000. Well, that one filly paid for our aqua trade because she brought 125,000 in the ring. Her body and everything looked, and I'm sure part of the legs developed as well. The muscles, like I'm talking about, the extensor muscles developed, so those legs straightened up a bit. But she was not a bad looking filly after 45 days on the aqua tread. But that just goes to show you can use it. When we had our farm out there, we had a breeding farm as well. We had 4 stallions. We bred, and I had about 12 mares. We were breeding as well as outside mares, but all our babies, as soon as they were weaned, we put them in the aqua tread just for 10 or 15 minutes, a couple times a week. And we did have some rodeos. Some of those babies, they tried to jump the whole entire length of the aqua tread. They didn't understand, but after they got in there, it taught them 2 things, which I thought was very important, as well as giving them condition. But because they were down below, you're walking on the side of them, but you're above them, and they learn to go into a horse trailer 100% easier. You're essentially breaking them for horse trailers or horse vans. So there's a lot of different ways you can help these horses' personalities and understanding of what you want done with the aqua tread, not just for conditioning or rehabilitation.
That is really cool. I actually never considered the fact that, helping young horses and foals learn how to load into the aqua tread would translate into trilling. So that's a really cool connection for it as
Yeah,
would you say Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, in the beginning, when you first started with the company, was it difficult to get people, to be open to the idea of trying the water treadmill?
No, it was really a pretty easy thing to do. We were very happy with the, well, I take that. There's some people that they poo-pooed it, but the farm guy you met farm, I talked to JT Lundy and told him what we could do, and he says they had just built a swimming pool. I don't know how many thousands of dollars they built the swimming pool, and they said we got a building that where that pool's in. I got a room over the corner. We'll put it in there. So we had a swimming pool on one side and an aqua tread on the other. And I don't believe in swimming pools per se, uh, primarily because the horses. Everybody thinks they come out of that pool. We used to have a pool at Hollywood Park, and it was good before we had the aqua tread, but the aqua tread can do so much more than the swimming pool can. When a horse is in a swimming pool, he's up to his neck in water, and that water pressing on their chest cavity doesn't allow them to expand their lungs properly. So they come out of the swimming pool and they're really huffing and puffing. People said, boy, he got a great workout. No, he didn't get a great workout. He's just trying to overcome the oxygen debt from the bad breathing process he had in the pool. And a horse with stifles definitely is contraindicated in a pool. There's some things you can do in a pool, but if I had a choice between a pool and an aqua tread, no doubt in my mind it'd be the aqua tread because you do 100% more things with it than you can with a swimming pool.
That makes a lot of sense. I feel like the aqua tread is also better because it's a more controlled environment, so the people working with the horse have more control in how the session goes, and the horse can get more benefit out of it because they're actually working on the right things and going at the pace that is beneficial for them in whatever stage they are in their rehab or training. So the benefits increase because the horse isn't just, swimming around aimlessly or on whatever path they get put on. There's actually, you know, a regimen to it.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. Um, the aqua tread, if done correctly, it is controlled exercise. The horse is completely at your control of how fast he's going to go. And like I said before, if you get them up to where they're jogging, to me, that's you're wasting your time. They get very little out of it because they can skip that when they jog. They just skip over that treadmill, and it doesn't do much good for them at all, except to shorten out their back. But it is a great tool, and there's more and more going in all the time. One of the fellow that used to work for me in the aqua tread business, he left, and his son-in-law still builds them up in Oregon, and they do a good job. It's probably the best unit around. But the aqua tread per se is out of business. Unfortunately, I had too many other things going on. That's what happened.
That's so sad. I wish it could have stayed in business longer. Um, but I know that sometimes when you're working with a product and with a business, things don't always go as planned. So
Well, one of the
I
problems
imagine it
was,
was frustrating.
yeah,
Oh,
one of the problems
sorry.
was we had our product was a fiberglass pool, and we found if you didn't know what you're doing, if you got any water outside that pool on either side of the pool would collapse. So we had some problems that way. So the concrete pools are a lot better because they're permanent, like a swimming pool. And that was one of the main reasons that we kind of gave up on it, because it meant doing a whole different thing. We had to get a construction company out there to do the pool and this and that. All we were doing at that point would be dropping the treadmill in. So that, like everything else, all good things come to an end. But the concept of the AQUA TRED is still the pertinent and the number one application, as far as I'm concerned, for conditioning and rehabilitating horses.
That I think that it's such a amazing opportunity that you got to be a part of. I bet you still hold it in such high regard that you were able to help with that.
Oh, I do. And any class of animal, your dressage horses, hunters and jumpers, they're all going to benefit from it, because you'll keep those muscles well conditioned without having to do all the work on a solid surface where you're going to start damaging the joints. That's the secret of it. And you can put them through the AQUA TRED and condition their body a couple of days a week and keep them off the training ring. Possibly, I don't know, because again, I told you I'm not that hep on the training hunters and jumpers and dressage anymore, because it's been so long since I've been involved with it. But they can get, even if they go in the training ring, you can do the 20 minutes of AQUA TRED every day just to help keep those extensor muscles properly conditioned. Because I know that I've treated a lot of hunters and jumpers as well, and I know they have stifle and back problems, and this will help solve some of that problem with stifles and backs.
Next time I'm at the barn, I'll ask some of my friends and see if they've ever had their horses on one, because I haven't heard much about it
Yeah,
where I ride, so it would be interesting to find out.
yeah, for sure. Well, let me know what you find out.
Okay. Um and to kind of round it off, this is a little bit of an unrelated note. But the most recent blog post that's up on the BioPro Armor website was a post that I made about vaccinations and sort of a recommended vaccine schedule. And I also talked about some of the dangers of over vaccination as well, to kind of add on to it. What's your opinion on vaccination for horses?
Well, that is a touchy subject. However, there are certain diseases that I think vaccinations are very apropos for, and the things are vaccines are coming out. Different kinds of vaccines are coming out. We vaccinate horses for influenza all the time. It's probably twice a year, every 6 months. I don't think they need it any oftener than that. If they're, and here again, depends on the kind of community they're in. If they're in a pretty self-regulated, isolated type community, uh, uh, the vaccination process is probably not as stringent or needed as much as those that are in a community with a lot of horses coming and going, and you don't know their origin or where they come from, like a show ring or something like that. So if you're going to do a lot of traveling around, the vaccinations are fine. But I have another, as far as we're talking about BioPro Armor, if that horse is on BioPro Armor 3 days a week, I don't think they need to be vaccinated, because they won't get sick anyhow. I know I have a trainer at the racetrack. He wouldn't let me vaccinate anything, and we never had any sick horses. So that's another alternative to think about. But I would consult with your healthcare, your veterinarian, and if you trust him, he's got to be your veterinarian. He's got to be trusted, and I'd do what he said.
That makes a lot of sense, and I appreciate your insight into that. I know that it's kind of hard to give concrete advice, I would say, because every horse is different and, their health needs are different. So I agree that it's also important to just consult with your vet because your vet also knows your horse well from a health perspective. Um, I just wanted to thank you so much for your time again, Dr. Warren. These discussions I think are really interesting and they give us a chance to talk about different topics within the horse community as well as answer questions that other people might have. So I'm really enjoying them.
Well, I enjoy talking with you. It's kind of brings back some old memories from years and years ago, but you're tapping my brain pretty good.
That's good. That's good. It makes the discussions a lot more
Makes it, yeah,
interesting that
exactly.
way.
But at this stage, you got to keep that brain active, or it dries up on you. So
Right, right. Well, I think that will be all for our main discussion today. So I wanted to thank everybody for taking the time to watch this, and I hope you have a good morning, afternoon, night, wherever you are. And you can check out BioPro Armor and all our other products at naturesanimalproducts.com. And you can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at BioPro Armor. Thank you so much again, Dr. Warren.
thank you, Brianna, and have a great day.
You too. Thank you.